real quick. So first I'm gonna start off with TSM. TSM is coming out with earnings. I believe 2 weeks from now. If for whatever reason the market goes down, which I doubt it this week, but even if we do, we get some sort of bad news or some sort of bad, whether it be something that went wrong with the tariffs, whether it be something another country didn't like, the agreement, whatever. But regardless, investors or people in general that keep up with this have found out that it's supposed to get extended till August 1st. So tariffs is going to be, I think, brushed away like last time. Also because Trump probably doesn't want his stocks to be interfered with all this shit, especially during this time where S&P is at Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything pretty much. Also, we got earnings coming up, so it's gonna move the market a lot. So we got that. We got Powell talking tomorrow and the tariff deal. So if whether it be either or brings the market down, I'll talk about it on this S&P or how much and this and that. But for TSM, if the market does go down, good prices to buy at or pay attention to, especially watching S&P and watching closely what day the earnings gonna be at. You're gonna be able to pick up a nice sweet deal, whether it be at 228 and 12 cents or in 221.45 in this range. As the market seems they're about to not fall, but as the market starts, we start hearing rumors about the S&P went down because so and so whatever, and we get to earnings. Earnings most likely gonna pick it up, and that's where you're gonna see TSM get saved and start picking up. It's most likely gonna go for a head and shoulders if it does fall. As it picks up again, you can see the first shoulder here, the head, and the second shoulder is gonna try to pass, not just hold this, but pass this area here. So once we see earnings come up, you should see TSM pick up. Or if we get the good news, this is gonna be your support. It's gonna hold, and we're slowly gonna going up. It's gonna hold this area right here, and it's slowly gonna going up. I don't think the news tomorrow is gonna be that big of a news, since it's gonna be pretty much like a statement. It's not like he's gonna go up and there have a speech or nothing like that, or get questions asked. And then from there, we're gonna go based off on Thursday last data, which is I think something about job openings or something about jobs. So that's gonna move the market, unless Trump again. I think he's gonna try to get the tariff thing out of the way as soon as possible and not let it bounce around, get investors nervous. Or they're gonna use that so that when, depending on how the banks come up with their earnings, the banks are gonna bring us down a little bit or worry us depending on the reports and credit reports and this is that. And then as we get to the real ones, the real earnings, test your Microsoft and all that, is gonna start picking up the market, saving the market, along with whatever data. We have a lot of data next week, I believe. Wednesday, I think we have a lot of inflation data. We have a lot of data Wednesday. Went Tuesday or Wednesday, but I believe it's Wednesday. So that's really gonna move the market down. Move the market a lot. But if we do drop, I believe earnings, the good ones, Amazon, your Facebook, all this shit, is gonna save us. Along with whatever bullshit Trump come up with or politics come up with, to save the stock market. Because at the end of the day, this is their baby. S&P 500 is their baby. So these stocks most likely will survive after all this bullshit. So that's what I see for Taiwan. Let me put it's already there. So we just recently created a new time high. Let me take on my indicator. We just created a new time high. Let me actually mark it down. Put an alarm where the 3 monthly ended up closing. So we do go down. This is gonna be most likely your support area. Yeah, this is gonna be your support area. Now the market does start getting worried, start getting bad news. Your most bad thing happen, go down to this range. But in order for it to do that, it still has to get through another obstacle. It's mostly somewhere right here. Or turn it higher, right here. Yeah, right there. So yeah, so if anything, again, as it drops down, and this will be your worst but best scenario. Worst, it'll stop down and get to the 200s, which is testing the resistance that it broke. Even though it tested right here, coming down to these regions will be good for a long buy, especially if it happens before its earnings, which again I think is in 2 weeks. So if it happens next week and we fall either 50% of this or the whole thing down, that's going to be a sweet spot to hold, especially from a month from now. I want to say I would do that for trading options. That's what I'm going to do personally. Try to remember that if it does happen. But let me now go to Palantir real quick. Try to make these short. Palantir is at a new all-time high. Recently, if you notice, so even though we dropped, it held this area a lot, which to me was very bullish. And then especially, I think it was yesterday when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, it's getting ready. Either investors that are seeing the S&P coming up to all-time high, we're coming to the Fed talking, we're coming to earnings, we're coming to Palantir earnings also in August 4th. So this area right here would be a nice, sweet spot to go for long. If there's a pullback, again, these are gonna be your sweet areas right here. The strong support in this area right here. So in the 130s, the 129s. Now, if we do have some sort of bad news, whether it be war, whether it be whatever, whatnot, the worst scenario that we could have is going back to the 100s, which I would love it to, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah, still bullish. The S&P gets, has that little rally, that little push, and I'll talk about it later. You're gonna see the Palantir go to the all-time high, and then it's most likely gonna hang in this area. And as we get closer to the last week of July, you should start seeing Palantir mostly breaking new all-time high, or just sitting right here waiting for those earnings report. And you guys see investors, retails, or whatnot come in and be buying the stock. Alright, so then Nvidia, same thing with Nvidia. Nvidia's at an all-time high. Same thing with Palantir, and TSM. If we start getting good news and you see the S&P go up to the all-time high or whatnot, or make new all-time high, you're gonna see, uh, yeah, this one too. Especially come to earnings, and we do go down to the 50, and we test the 156. In more scenarios, go to the 140.53. That'll be a good area to buy. But it all depends what's going on during that time. But I don't see it happening that far, going that deep. I'm fading down to these regions right here, the 156, 157, and again the worst to 153. But I don't really see that happening, especially. Alright, so now I'm making other videos. It's gonna be for S&P 500, and then it's gonna be covering crypto. So I'm gonna